You'll notice that the title of today's talk is a play on the great Burnham Plan, which this title is a plan for all of Chicago, tackling Chicago's single largest impediment to reaching its full potential. I'm happy to say that in the last 3 years, the state of Chicago's economic engine is quite strong. We have a large, diverse, and growing economy that rivals sizable nations with a over $600 billion gross regional product. That would make us the 23rd largest economy in the world. We are the #1 city for business expansions and relocations for 4 straight years, the #1 city for foreign direct investment. We've had 20% growth in our Fortune 500 companies. And next year, small businesses in Chicago, 77% of them, expect to see growth in the economy. By all measures, at the macro level, we're doing exceedingly well. However, our debt is still staggering at over $68 billion. And the growth of that, as you can see, more than doubling in less than 15 years. Our balance sheet obligations are squeezing our income statement. Our total government debt in the last decade has grown by over $10 billion. Our annual debt service is now nearly $1 billion of our budget. And versus 15 years ago, our 30-year debt obligations will now cost us $15 billion more. And we must ask the question, why? And it's for much of the same reason that when I started this journey over 3 years ago, we wanted to focus on all of our neighborhoods and focus on all of our residents and focus on all of our businesses. Because as you look at the growth of our obligations, our net pension liability, our bonds, our primary debt, all of them are outpacing our household income. This is the classic debt trap. When you have debt that is growing and it is outpacing the growth of your economy, you can no longer keep up with it. The reality is, though, that some parts are growing. Today's conversation is really going to be about who's growing and who's not and why it's unique to Chicago. We can't have only half the city doing well if we want to be a global city. We can't grow in a way that is consistent with our opportunity, with the natural assets, and the God-given ability of the people of this city if we are leaving nearly half of the city behind. Let me show you what I mean about how things are different in Chicago. So this is a chart looking at the United States median income by race. As you can see, there's disparity that exists in our country, to no one's surprise. If you look at Chicago, an interesting thing happens. The gap widens, and it widens substantially. And the set of winners and losers get determined pretty quickly. I want you to think about what it means to be in the red category, to have your income be 136% less than the next person. To be 440% more likely or 300% more likely to be in poverty. The disparity is greater here than anywhere else. The economic contribution from fully 2/3 of our city is not there. It's not there at the rate and at the level that it should be or would be if we were only to be reflective of the rest of the country. To answer the question of why, and why do these fiscal challenges still exist? Why do we keep having these problems? Why doesn't our economy keep up with our spending? Yes, we need to have more controls. Yes, we need to have fiscal stewardship and responsibility. But we also need to invest in ways that, like our president said, make sure that half of our city has the same opportunity the other half has. If we were just to close the household income gap with African Americans, not with white families in the city of Chicago, but just to be equivalent to where African Americans in the rest of the country are. That difference, at the time, these are updated numbers, at the time of that study, that difference was $3,000. That $3,000 they estimated would be the equivalent of $4 billion for our economy. It would lower homicides by 30%, and it would lead to 83,000 more students enrolled in colleges in the city of Chicago. When you invest where economic need is greatest, and by virtue of that opportunity is greatest, it creates the best opportunity for the entire community. We're taking $100 million of your money and adding with it $200 million of private sector money to invest outside of downtown Chicago, to invest in the rest, to create economic opportunity and put capital where it has not been sought for as long as anyone in this room can remember. That structure is a unique one, the first of its kind in the nation. In September, we made the largest deposit in the history of that bank, $20 million. Now, I manage a $7.5 billion portfolio. That was $20 million. And it was the largest deposit in their history. Since then, they've garnered another $10 million just in the last 3 months, $10 million of deposits, and 2017 will be their first profitable year in the last decade. These are the steps that we're taking in our office: investing in our community, providing affordable access to capital, supporting our local institutions, and providing a path to home ownership so that we can learn, earn, and return, and once and for all, solve the single biggest issue that plagues our city. Thank you.